Hey guys, and welcome back to Franchise Nation. I am your host, Motes. So I'm going to bring you guys some more of the San Francisco 49ers franchise. We have some news and we have some episodes to skip because our schedule goes from week number 6, where we take on the Cincinnati Bengals, all the way down to week number 11, where we head to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. So that means that down the stretch, we have weeks 12, 13, 16, and 17 for the final 4 games of the season, which means that we're only going to be simming 2 games out of the final 6 that we have on the schedule, which is pretty cool, actually, the final 7. So with that being said, let's see how we did in week number 7 against the Los Angeles Rams. It was a 41-0 victory. The Rams actually were in first place in the division, and we knocked them off, which is fantastic. They're now 3-3. We are 4-3. And let's take a look. All right, so we dominated the first downs, dominated turnovers, dominated third downs, dominated time of possession. And because of that, Mike Mosley is not an ideal quarterback for them, I guess. But Brady Johns, no interceptions. Hey, Brady! 12 for 39 passing for Mike Mosley. Just an awful performance. Brady Johns wasn't particularly great either, but didn't matter. Run game looked pretty good. Jamal, Elgin Armstead. Nate Hill, 5 receptions, 126. Mason and Lauderdale. All right, Elgin Armstead, Deontay Jackson, Chris Conley, Tevin Culliver. Everybody getting in on the party. Obviously, Kris Arnold is injured. Blocking, only sack allowed by Jamarcus Webb. 12 tackles for Avery Williamson, tackles for a loss, 1 for Mike Daniels. He got the only sack in the ball game. Interceptions, 2 more for Darius freaking Motes. That brings him to 6 on the season, and Byron Jones gets a pick as well, playing at that number 2 corner spot. We actually have to take him off that spot for Voorhees Priester, because Priester is definitely someone who we need to get more reps, especially with the absence of whatchamacallit. With the absence of JT Ogletree. So we'll do that really quickly. Let's see if there were any injuries before we do anything more. I already checked. There are no draft stories this week, just to save a little bit of time. Any injuries? The answer is no. All right, so JT Ogletree is still going to be out for 4 more weeks. Arnold and Young will be back in 3. Not terrible. Not terrible. So we're just going to change Voorhees Priester real quick. And then we're going to show you some scouting. All right. Voorhees Priester in at the number 2 corner spot. He's deserving. He's had a pretty good stretch himself. And yeah, let's do some scouting. I kind of want to negotiate with Darius Motes, but I want to wait a little bit. We'll wait till the bye week to negotiate with him. So let's see. Keep looking at offensive linemen. The right tackle spot is definitely something that we can address. I do think that if the run game struggles again another week, that we're going to put TJ Clemmings back at that role, just because I think it would be a necessary evil for us, per se. All right, so not too bad. Okie dokie. So that's the way it goes, and we're taking on the 3-4 Panthers before our bye week. So give me a few minutes, and then we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and we have the results of the game against the Carolina Panthers. They were, I believe, 3-4. We were 4-3, and we did not win. We fall to 4-4 on the season, and that's going to head us into our bye week. So based on the outcome of this game determines whether or not we are going to do anything with Brady Johns and company. And so let's see. That's an ugly looking score. 4 turnovers, not something you want to see. Yeah. I think it's time to give Brady the benching treatment. Give Mack the bye week to get prepared and try to jump into that role. And the run game is not doing terribly well either. I think we're going to try putting TJ Clemmings back at that right tackle spot. It might just be a little bit too early for Felix Grant. Jamon Mason looking pretty good, as always. Nate Hill still doing his job. Defensively, tackles for a loss. Defensive line doing a good job. Sacks, Aaron Lynch. Sadale Hunt. Interceptions, 2 for Jimmy Ward. Oh, the revenge of Jimmy Ward. Benet Ben-Wickery. Catches allowed. This is a big one. Who allowed the most catches? Wow. So Voorhees, Priester and company. Only 1 for him and Motes. So 2 pretty lockdown performances by our number 1 and number 2 corners. Pretty impressive. But like I said, that's a pretty big thing to have happen, which means that now we are going to have to make a couple changes. Before I do that, we have 2 players to look at. We have, in draft stories, we have Lance Parker, who's plantar fasciitis, broken bones in his foot. Don't know what position he is, but we're going to look for him. And scouts are souring on Tennessee quarterback Silas Irvin, citing inconsistency week-to-week play. So, inconsistency and injury for Lance Parker. It'll be interesting to see Lance Parker if we can get him at some point, depending on what he is. But, yeah, let's make those changes real quick, and then we'll do some scouting. And then we're going to re-sign, or make an attempt to re-sign, our boy Darius Motes. So that's the first change that we have to make. Second change is we're going to put TJ Clemmings back at that right tackle spot. Just a safer play right now. And we're going to try Felix Grant inside. Going to try him at that left guard spot. See how he does. While Freddie Young is on the pine, because Freddie is going to be out for a couple more weeks. Yeah, 2 more weeks. So we'll get 1 start out of him, and JT Ogletree will get some time as well. So Voorhees Priest will get some time at corner as well. So let's go and negotiate with Darius Motes and see how much he wants. And we have our handy dandy overthecap.com. He wants 34.8 over 4 years. That's not a lot of money. I would say that he is in the second tier of corners. Not the very, very top. So I don't think he's worth the $13 million. But I think he's definitely in that Byron Maxwell, Jimmy Smith, Brandon Carr, Sam Shields price range. So I would say he's closer to $10 million a season, which I don't think is unreasonable. I mean, he's been excellent for us. We'll lower that salary a little bit. There's the signing bonus. I think $40 million on the nose over 4 years is pretty viable for a player of his caliber. We'll see what he says. Darius Motes has accepted our contract, so we do bring back Darius Motes on a long-term deal. That's fantastic. And now we're going to do some scouting, and then we're going to simulate the... Actually, we can simulate the bye week, and then we can do more scouting. So let's find that quarterback. Unless he's not a quarterback. Silas Irvin. I don't see him. God damn it. Sorry. My apologies. I don't mean to curse on here, but that bothers me. I need to make sure that is addressed. Wide receiver might be a position that we need to draft. Not early just because we don't need to early, but the simple fact is that if Kris Arnold keeps getting hurt, it's kind of important to have a replacement, I guess. Not a lot of really good wide receivers. Russell Patrick's not bad. Andre Child isn't bad either. Ooh. Okay, Patrick Brandon. Alright, so we do a little bit of scouting there, but we had to make those 2 changes going into the bye week, and yeah, so we have a media question, unless I already answered it. You've got a player in the final year of his contract who has turned down your contract offers at this point, so how far apart are you? We signed him, so I think that's pretty clear. But what I want to do is, just because I don't want to go too deep into it, you know what? We can look at Bernie Lauderdale, because I want to bring back Bernie. He's so good. He's just excellent. So you know what? We're going to bring him back as well, probably in that $8 million a year price range. He wants a lot of money. 6 years. The fact that he wants to sign so long with us is actually kind of nice. A little high. I don't want to give him $10 million a year. He's not the best tight end in the league. 45. See what he says. Wow, just straight up declined it? So we'll see. Does that mean that he's refusing to negotiate with us now? Oh no, we're still negotiating. So if he didn't like that, how about that? Okay, so just a little bit of a bump up, and it seems that we actually are going to bring back Bernie Lauderdale as well. So that's actually a really big contract for us. We signed 2 of our top tier players, and because of the game prep, I'm going to cut it here for a little bit, and then we're going to advance, and I'm going to do the game prep there, and then we're going to advance one more time because that Arizona Cardinals game is the last one before our return to action. So be right back. All right, so with that being said, we now have the the simmed game against the Arizona Cardinals. We got past the bye week, and we are sitting at, well, we'll find out right now. As we do win 52-14 over the Cardinals, who are currently 3-6. As you can see by the standings, we are 5-4. I'll show you the standings in a minute. There were no draft stories for the past couple weeks. Last one was week 9. But let's take a look at the stats for this because I don't know what it's looking like at all. Holy shit. 14, 14, 14, 10. That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. 4 touchdowns, 1 in the battle of possession. No turnovers to 3. Okay, Mack Kenny. Nothing too big. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 14 for 19 passing. Corey Hammond, 20 for 39, so nothing special by him. 3 interceptions. Jamal Alden and Elgin Armstead and Martwan Austin. 5 rushing touchdowns for the 49ers, but Alden and Armstead both putting in the finest of work in this game. Felix Grant was a really good addition to put on that offensive line, right? Well, it doesn't much matter because Freddie Young is back. But I think we just needed a bye week to kind of heal up and just get back into the groove of things. Let's take a look. Eduardo Hicks led the way. Nate Hill, 6 receptions, 81 yards and a touchdown. Bernie, 5 for 20. Jamal Alden. Hey, Jamon Mason, 1 reception for 78 yards. It was a 72-yard catch and run, so that probably was just a short pass, maybe a slant and go. That's awesome. Let's see. Sacks. Michael Patti allowed a sack. 16 tackles, 13, 10. Wow. 2 tackles for a loss. Jackson, tackle for a loss. Sacks. Okay, Tank Carradine with the only sack. Interceptions, we had 3. Bruh. Darius Motes. As soon as he's done with the contract negotiations, he goes out and gets 2 more picks. And Malcolm Jenkins gets an interception as well. Byron Jones, 2 deflections. And this is the final week before JT Ogletree is back in action. So we'll see how Voorhees Priester does in his final week to see if JT Ogletree will earn back that spot or not. It's not a given. Okay. All right. So that's crazy. Before we look at the before we look at the stats, let's look at the standings. All right. So we are currently 5-4, leading the NFC West in a very non-exciting fashion. It's just we're getting it done. We're 4-1 at home, but we're 1-3 on the road. That has to change, and hopefully it'll start this week as we take on the Rams, who are 4-5. NFC East, Eagles 4-4-1, leading the division. Not bad. Falcons 7-2, leading the division. Okay. Panthers 4-5. Packers 9-0, Lions 5-4, Vikings 4-5, Bears 4-5, Chargers 5-4. Okay. AFC East, Dolphins leading the way, Jets 2-7. Colts leading the division, not a shock there. AFC North, Bengals 7-2, Browns 5-4. They're right in the thick of things. Steelers 5-4, Ravens 4-5. And that's going to round out all of that. So now that that's done, let's take a look at the... I just want to see league leaders in terms of sacks and in terms of things like that. So Brady Johns has 2,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions at 59%. It's tough benching him, but at the same time, it kind of needed to be done. We were losing too many games because of him. You know, if those stats weren't hurting us so much, I'd be okay with it, but they were. Even though you could say that the touchdown numbers were underwhelming because of, well, 3 rushing touchdowns for himself, and then these guys just going off in terms of touchdowns. But either way, Jamal Alden seems to have returned to form with that huge outing. And then you have receiving leaders. Jamon Mason, 29 receptions for 579 yards. He's averaging almost 20 yards per reception, which is absolutely insane. He is just a deep threat for this team. He has 5 touchdowns on the season, which is fantastic. Nate Hill, 3 touchdowns, 669 yards, 42 receptions. Lauderdale, 40 for 458. Kris Arnold is back in action, 29 for 368. He'll take over at that role. And in his absence, Chris Conley, 4 receptions for 42 yards across 3 games or so. I mean, that's nothing too great, but it was 4 games, 3 games, something in there. Either way, he only played 88 downs, so you know he wasn't a huge factor. It seems that we went a lot more to tight end in that time frame. As you can see, 338 snaps for Devin Culliver. So either way, let's take a look at sacks. 3 for Boone, 3 for Grant, 1 for Lael Collins. Not a lot of sacks allowed. Eric Reid leading the way in tackles. Nothing too special there. 7 tackles for a loss. 4 sacks leading the way for Aaron Lynch. It's a little bit underwhelming for us. We need to get more pressure. But Darius Motes has 8 freaking interceptions, which is just insane. And Brandon McManus only attempted 8 field goals, which is also really weird. I kind of want to see what the league leader looks like for interceptions. I have a feeling it is going to be Motes by a pretty hefty margin, as it is. Rashad Jones is next with 5, and a bunch of guys with 4. So, sacks leaders, Khalil Mack leading the way, Josh Hansen's up there. Okay, so we got players who can get sacks, but either way, that's how that goes. Weekly awards, nothing for us. Last weekly award was Brady Johns in week number 5. But, I mean, whatever. It's okay. Outside of that, we just have some scouting to do, and I think we can call this an episode because we are taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Actually, we'll look at injuries first. See how they're stacking up, and I guess stats a little bit. But JT Ogletree is our only real injury for the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. They're without Mike Mosley. Good for them. That's going to help them out a lot. Which means that they should have their starting quarterback returning or back at under center. So we'll see at their statistics. Yeah, Zach Graves, rookie, seems to be their guy. 58%. Not bad, not good. Oh, it's whatever. DT Lewis has had a few snaps. Joey Knight, kind of deep on the depth chart. Eckford Mendenhall, doing a pretty good job in terms of punching it in. Let's see, Josh Gordon, Jordy Nelson, Kenny Britt. So they got a receiving core that's definitely going to be problematic for us. Would have been nice to have JT Ogletree back for this one, but it's whatever. Joe Thomas on that offensive line, along with Mike Adams. Avery Williamson, 92 tackles. Deion Taylor, Mark Barron. Aaron Donald doing Aaron Donald things. Ezekiel Elliott, 9.5 sacks. Connor Barwin, 5.0. That's pretty high. That's pretty insane. Either way, I think that is it. That's about it. So yeah, we'll take a look at the scouting because, I mean, there's not much else to do at this point. One of the areas that we do need to improve is at middle linebacker. A player that we're going to be looking at is going to be Dundreka Smith. He is someone who we would really like to bring in at middle linebacker if we have the opportunity. So that's something to keep in mind. Offensive line, we've looked pretty much everywhere. We looked at wide receiver. It doesn't hurt to scout tight ends a little bit, but I don't think we're going to do much more. Centers, just to see if there's guys who can be converted to other positions. You know, just talented players. So, I mean, this is going to be a pretty light episode in terms of scouting. At least this specific. Yeah. So, with that being said, in the next episode, we're going to be taking on the 4-5 LA Rams from Los Angeles. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I am Moonlight Swami, and I'm going to show you just some transactions, see anyone who re-signed. Eduardo Moon re-signed. Marcus Gilbert re-signed. Brockers, Jarius Byrd. Quarterback Evan Dorsey. Damn. David Yankee. Robert Quinn. Marcus Coleman. Michael Kendrick. Seven McCourty. Julius Thomas. Tate McKnight. Huge deal for Tate McKnight. Russell Wilson. Huge deal. Demaryius Thomas. Chris Harris Jr. Lane Johnson. Richard Sherman. Aaron Rodgers. And Bobby Wagner. So I'm kind of interested to see what Dundreka Smith has been doing over in Houston, because he's someone who we really, really want. I'm going to break the bank. I'm not really, but I'm going to bring him in because I really want him. Look at this man. I need him. I need him in my life. I need him in my life so badly. So badly. I love Dundreka Smith. I love Dundreka Smith. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Moonlight Swami. I'll be taking on the Rams in the next episode. Peace.